Hello, everyone. This is Allen Bonde from TreviPay, and today I'm here with Chris Storbeck, longtime payments industry veteran. How are you, Chris?
Outstanding this morning, Alan. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm great. So a lot is happening in our space, as we know, not just in payments overall, but especially in the retail sector, which coming out of COVID is transforming and changing into all sorts of things. And I'm curious, maybe take us back a little bit. Talk to us about your background, both in payments, but also within the retail sector.
Been in the business now for about 20 years, and it's been a fascinating adventure. Worked with organizations such as FIS, Incom, and spent some time with MCX and done a couple of startups. So it's been an exciting ride. And like you said, things are continually changing, especially with things that you guys are doing in the space around B2B, as well as just the changes within the industry on new payment types coming down the pipe. And so it's the good thing about payments, it never stops changing. And if you want a wild ride, this is the place to be.
So I guess as long as people and businesses are buying things, there's going to be change.
Yeah, and I haven't found anything that anybody can purchase without a transaction taking place. So I think we're in a pretty good space for long-term employment opportunities.
Well said. We know that we're hearing a lot from big brands, from retailers, that they're focused on growth, they're focused on market expansion, they're revisiting or rediscovering digital transformation. If you'd boil it down, what are one or two or three trends that you think are driving some of these either big bang initiatives or more focused initiatives within this sector?
Well, I think coming out of COVID, we saw everybody move to online transactions, and clearly coming out of COVID, still a lot of e-com still continuing to grow, but people are wanting to get back out into retail stores, do purchases, and be around different things. So we're seeing, how does that translate? Maybe I'm, continuing to purchase online, but picking up in the store and actually experiencing that. And then from a payments opportunity, we're seeing a lot of new payments types starting to emerge. You've got real-time payments starting to enter into the space, which is going to change the dynamics of really the whole transaction customer experience. And then the B2B space, I think that's the area that, I'm continuing to hear more about from the standpoint that these customers are typically in the retail stores, they're shopping there. And I think the retailers are now saying, hey, how do I capitalize them and, basically wrap my arms around them and actually grow that business, because they're here today. What else can we sell them, and how else can we take care of them, make it easy for that shopping experience? And I think that's going to continue to grow. I hear that more and more. If you've looked at, what Amazon's done with Amazon Business, Walmart's there, Best Buy's been in it for quite some time. And we're seeing more and more of this around the industry now.
I mean, this is kind of a natural, right? That think about the different roles that we all play, right? I'm a consumer, but I'm also, repping a side project that I have, and I'm also working for a business. So the roles have really blurred. And this is something we saw back in my analyst days, that the notion of classic B2C or B2B is kind of blurring.
It is. And, if you start to look at the different segments, I mean, just you've got the small SMB, you've got large to mid-sized enterprise into these locations, things such as hotels that may be needing to put new TVs or new, furniture into those operations, government agencies, another real big one, massively big. And, the school business, these organizations are purchasing. So how do you actually, cater to them and actually wrap your arms around them again to make that experience and deliver what they need? Because the retailers have the products and they've got the selection, and typically they've got the price.
So if you were consulting with, and I know you do this with a retailer, let's say an unnamed retailer that is, multi-line, multi-geography, they're looking for growth opportunities. What would you say are the three reasons why they might want to focus more on serving business buyers, and how would you help them make that business case, I guess, to invest in this? Because there are some investments that have to be made to serve a business buyer that may be a lot more complex, right, than a typical consumer who just wants to pay on a card. So what would those three reasons be, do you think, in terms of serving more business buyers generally?
I touched on, maybe one or two of them, but it is, how do you start to tap into this segment of business that is periodically in your retail location, and how do you grow that into, instead of periodically, making them a loyal customer?
Sure, they're already there. Maybe you just don't realize it.
Exactly. And so how do you tap into that? So and figure out what that business looks like. So that's really number one. And it's establishing long-term ongoing relationship with that organization. And if I take a mid-sized organization that is purchasing maybe one or two items on a weekly basis, and then going to another location and buying something else, but you may be offering that. But how do I give them an easy path to do that? So that would be the second thing. And then retailers are looking for ways to grow their top and bottom line, and this is absolutely a way to do that. And then also create sustainable, repeatable business. So those are the business drivers in this. To make sure that you're growing those top and bottom lines, and again building that business on a long-term basis.
Well, it turns out that businesses buy more, right? I mean, the order value absolutely is larger. Also, what we've seen in some of the data is when you start to treat them as accounts, right, the way that most businesses do, and you allow them to buy on terms, you naturally create a longer-term relationship, which goes back to sort of how we think of loyalty being the driver for a lot of things. And that loyalty really, so I assume this is all part of like the narrative that you're hearing as businesses are thinking about this.
Absolutely. And then you use the word loyalty, and I think that's what this boils down to, is how do you create that loyal customer base? We're doing it today with the consumer side of the house. How do you take that and grow that? Because like you said, it is bigger scale. Typically it's more repeatable business. And you've got to give them the tools to be able to make this purchase. And that's not just it, to your point, it's not just swiping a credit card, because there's a lot more involved typically with the B2B customer from an invoicing standpoint. I'm telling you things, but those are the types of things that absolutely drive this business. The accounts receivable components.
And custom pricing and rebates and vouchers and all the different dimensionality there.
Absolutely. And then from a merchant standpoint is, how am I going to service these customers? Am I going to create a dedicated sales organization? Am I going to do it all online? So those are the other components here, from investment side that you have to start to look at.
So you mentioned Amazon Business. I've studied them in the past. Really an amazing story, right? How that's driving a lot of the growth and the profits broadly at Amazon. You mentioned Best Buy. Maybe a couple other names that are doing this especially well and maybe haven't been in the spotlight as much as like Amazon Business.
Well, clearly Walmart is now gotten into this business, and let's face it, when Walmart gets into a business, they do it very, very well. So Walmart is going to continue to play in this space. So I think that's one of the new exciting organizations that have come into this. You've got folks like Tractor Supply that are now really entering into this space. But you've got, the Staples of the world, the Lenovo's, those organizations that have been doing this. So those are, this is a business that has been in place for a while. But again, I think merchants are starting to understand that this is now a good opportunity and time that I need to start to monetize this business, because they're there.
We've been talking with Chris Storbeck about retail, about expansion, going after business buyers. Thanks so much for the time. And don't forget to visit us at MAG coming up in Atlanta. We'll see you there. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Al.